told in class.
Yeah, and before I start this thing, I just wanted to talk to this young lady. Livelihoods promotion is not as simple as what we have done on the board. The type of problems we face in the field and the type of problems that the poor people face, we can't be really solving the way we are talking about here. But this is the attempt by all the livelihood promoting organizations to help them. And the biggest player in this livelihood promotion is none other than the government. And with all the weaknesses or all the criticism we give to the government and the government alone can look after the welfare of these people. And whatever all the activities that the rest of the livelihood promoting organizations are doing are only supplementing the government activities. Okay, there are problems, we all know. We know about so many, when you say MNREGA, it doesn't go to the people to whom it is supposed to be going, and it gets siphoned off. But in spite of all these things, if the government which can go to that place, with the locality where they are always flooded with flooded and they face problems, or a flood affected area or a earthquake affected area, and help them in support their livelihoods. So it's a government of so we would be all doing this theoretically, because tomorrow we are all qualified to search for jobs in the livelihood promoting organizations. We know livelihood mapping, we know 3A exercise, and we know triangulation. And so that makes us qualified. That makes us just to start our activity and then take it forward. And there you have to put your heart and soul to take the livelihood activity forward. Today what I am just trying to talk to you about is, you know about NRLM, which is the largest livelihood promoting program the government of India has started, and there are number of, and this entire activity is implemented through state rural livelihood missions, which we call as SRLMs. So the World Bank is the major funder for this NRLM program, but equal contribution from the government. And when it goes again to the state government has to put in the equal contribution, and then part of it from the central government, which they give, which they got from the World Bank. So this is a combination with which the SRLMs work. And SRLMs are now being formed in many places, many states, and in some states they are already formed and they are going ahead with their activities. And this is the place which requires a large number of managers who can manage the livelihood promotion activities, which they are designing, right from designing the activity to implementation. These are all the organizations whom we call them the LPOs, the livelihood promoting organizations, in what we are talking about livelihood promotion. And this is the area where you all, like with the background in rural management or in livelihoods specialization, would be fitting in once you complete your courses. Now, the World Bank has engaged the livelihood school to develop certain case studies which would be useful for a district level manager for district decision making. It sounds a little vague. The district level manager is the person who is at the helm of affairs at the district and who is in charge at the block level and the village level where the promotion activities have to happen. And at the state level, they take decisions and ask them to do 101 activities, of which livelihood promotion is the most important activity. And what type of activities are to be taken up and how to take decisions when the implementation is going on is a very important aspect the district level manager has to know about it. So it's called Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty, and Tripti of Orissa, and Madhya Pradesh MPDPIP. So what is it that we studied that should a district manager should know? It's not like studying the entire organization. I mean, okay, what they are doing, what activities is this organization doing. So we have taken a specific activity or a specific subject under each of these SRLMs. Like for example, in BRLPS, we have looked at the functioning of a district unit, which we selected as Gaia, a district unit, how it functions. And there's a whole lot of details. Let's not go into the details right now. I'll just tell you what we have studied. is about a functioning of a district unit. A district unit is a very important unit where the district manager is positioned along with a battery of thematic area managers underneath. And similarly, in Madhya Pradesh, we studied what is the how is a producer company established by MPDPIB is working. And in Tripti, their main mandate or their main focus of Tripti is to ensure social inclusion. You know, to ensure that no poor member is left out of SHG fold. That's what that, and they have adopted a different technology to ensure that. The SHG formation is something which is happening all over wherever the SRLMs are functioning. Whereas Tripti has adopted a different methodology in which they ensure that none of the poor people are left out of the SHG fold. And in Andhra Pradesh, which is the star state in implementation of NRLM and has been working for a very long time, we studied about the something called as SHG Federation. I mean, I don't know how many of you are conversant with SHGs and the structure. Are you clear? Are they all aware of what is the structure of SHG and? See, the structure generally is to have some 10 to 15 women in a village who form a self-help group, and you have few self-help groups when we talk about SHG Federation, we are talking these SHGs together are federated. Now where are they federated? You have SHGs at the village level, and in each village you can have 5 to 8 SHGs. They get federated into a village organization, and you have few VOs. This I am talking, coming back to the AP, where we have studied the AP structure. The village organizations again get federated into Mandal Samakhya, and the Mandal Samakhyas get federated at the district level by district federations, which are called Zilla Samakhyas and the Zilla Samakhyas are at the state level, which is called our project over here. So, pardon my writing. We have SHGs, we have VO, Mandal Samakhya, and then Samakhya, and then state level organization. Now, what we did while studying and taking this case study is, we studied the Mandal Samakhya, which is a conglomeration of village organizations. So this is the case study which we have undertook, and what we studied is, in all these things, like when I talked about VRLPS, Gaia unit or the Tripti social inclusion now, the idea of this study is, how does this study help a district manager to understand the best practices that each of these SRLMs have undertaken, and then use it in his organization wherever he is working. And while undertaking these studies, we also came across a lot of anecdotal information while we are discussing with the district managers in Bengal. So we used them and developed a set of 12 cases, which are the teaching cases, which can be used in a classroom methodology for a decision making aspect. So since you are not there, you are all not in the field, or you are not actively taken any positions in the organization. We are not discussing those cases. These are the cases which we have developed and we pilot tested it on the district managers of BRLPS, and we found to be absolutely very useful in our interaction with them. So those are the cases. Probably sometime later we can have a session on that. So the case study which I will be discussing right now is about an SHG federation and its functioning, which is basically in Andhra Pradesh. So what's the purpose of this case study? As I told you, it's to highlight what are the best practices that this federation has adopted in discharge of its duty, and that can be in fact again taught to the district level managers. When we called about the development professionals, it can be district level managers or anyone who's about to go to similar activity. Which are these practices that can be replicated, and is there anything else that is missing? That's basically the purpose of this case study. And I mean, at the end of our study of this Mandal Samakya and its functioning, we could understand the total perspective about the functioning of the federation and how is it relevant to the overall structure, which the NRLM is going to now replicate in most of the cases, because AP is the success story of implementation of SHGs in this country. Yeah, this is what I just told you about how what is that when we say it is an SHG federation. So the SHG federation, when we talk about SHG federation, it could be a Vivo, it could be an MS, or it could be a Zilla Samakya or a state federation. So right now we are concentrating on the Mandal Samakya. And these figures are just for you to understand the extent of activity that underwent in Andhra over the last 15 years. About the number of SHGs, which is as much as 1,11,000, and you have 38,000 Vivos and 1,000 Mandal Samakyas and Zilla Samakyas and 22 in all the divisions. Yeah, this is the same structure which I have written. Probably this should have more Vivos and more Mandal Samakyas and more Zilla Samakyas. And you could also see something called as Anant Mahasamakya, which is a different structure in Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, the entire activity started as early as 1994. So originally, before the NRLM came, it was funded by DFID, and there are certain SHGs which are formed at that time, and there are SHGs subsequently formed with the World Bank funds. So at that time, some of the Mandal Samakyas are formed into another federation called Ananta Mahasamakya, which is also at the district level. So this Mandal Samakya, which we have studied, reports both to the Ananta Mahasamakya and also the Zilla Samakya. That's why you have a structure like this in AP. Now, how did we study this entire structure? What is the, like when you study your organization and try to understand its practices and all that, how do you do it? So, which are the 7 components of this model are what decide an organization? These include like the structure, the strategy of the organization, the structure, system, style, staff, skills, and the shared values. If you see, there are 3 structures, 3 rounds, which are 3 circles which are in green color and 3 which are in yellow. The 3 green structures represent the hard, hard parts of the success model, and the balance 3 of the soft parts. That's why it's just when we talk about strategy, structure, and systems, it's all what people decide and all that. When we talk about staff, skills, and style, it is the people and their abilities and capabilities which decide an organization. Okay, when we started studying about what the objectives at which the Mandal Samakya has been established, or what is already decided as the objectives of Mandal Samakya. These are considered as the main objectives of the bill. Can you all point out anything that sounds different or something which is missing? Actually, I just realized something is missing. Is there anything missing? Specifically, when they are talking about a state's rural livelihood mission and a national rural livelihood mission and all that. So what's missing over here? No, that's the strategy, or that's probably talking about this is what is called the objective of a Mandal Samakya. It says promotion of savings, credit and cooperation among the members, enhancing income of the members, facilitating members' control over their own incomes, economic and political development by member view various resources. Where is the livelihoods? Why is it the livelihoods word here? I'll explain to you why it's not there, because it's not part of the case. It's one of our observations. I just tried to say like that, realized it just now. No, I didn't. I realized it long back. I don't. It's not it's represented in a VO to their president also. They bring a huge chart, and they have to bring. They are given like a proper format as to how to prepare a micro plan, and they come and make a presentation in the VO meeting that they need this loan. And this is if the VO agrees to it, it represents to the MS saying that they need this loan. I mean, it's like how a business plan, like we say we want to make a business plan for our organization or company. We do have to make a presentation to the bank about with our proposal and all that. As much as that detail of the micro planning is what is done. And this is all this happens because of the MS interaction with the SIG members directly, training them, and then representing them to get the loans from the banks. So this is one of the activities. That's why it is one of the major activity of a Mandal Samakya. Then you have insurance. I mean, I'm not going to the details of all these activities, the insurance or institution building. Institution building, if you really look at it, see you, okay, I think we'll take it up later. We call this community investment fund. It's called CIF, community investment fund. This is where even suppose the bank doesn't give the loan for this plan which the SIG gives it and asks for funding, even suppose the bank doesn't give that finance, then there is a facility where they have a fund called community investment fund. The decision to give this community fund to an SIG, they basing on their planning, is what the MS decides, but it requires an approval from the project staff. That is the project is what I'm talking about, the SRLM. But they have limited funds available at their disposal, which they decide and then give the loan to the SIG. This is what is called CIF. That's also a very, very important activity which the MS takes up. Now the SIG sustenance, SIG is continuing their activities and all, is dependent on all these activities which the MS does, and that's what is helpful to the SIGs.
Where the money come for CIF?
CIF, it comes from the project funds. When you talk about project, it is SRLM, the state. That's what the effort here is project. Project is the SRLM. See, SRLM has a funding like for SIG formation, for SIG's development and livelihood promotion. Basically, the funding is given for livelihood promotion.
So, who are the people at Mandal Samakya level who actually does the work with banks and also? Are they represented from this SIG also? Yeah,
we come to it when we talk about the staff. Because this much of this requirement of where they go to interact with the bank requires a higher level of educated people who can interact with the bank and all that. We look at it when we come to the staff. Then for the convergence with the government schemes. If you see the activities which the SIG has done, when we look at the last slide where we talk about what are all the achievements that Mandal Samakya could do it, there is a number of activities which they have undertaken, which are all in convergence with the government schemes. I mean, you all will be knowing that government has so many schemes for education, health, for old age pensions, scholarships for youth, children's education. All these activities are available with the government in different departments, not with the SRLM or anything. All because of its intervention. So that's one of the another major role which it plays in ensuring that the SHGs have adequate funds from, all these schemes and all that, the subsidies from the agriculture department, the seed subsidies for the crop loans, everything is done by different departments. You have agriculture department, you have health and family welfare, and for construction of housing department. So with all these organizations, they ensure that they interact and help the SHGs in getting these funds. Then, we are. Let's look at what the activities or how this Mandal Samakya undertakes these different activities and what strategy it follows. Talking about saturation, this is one of the very, very crucial activity which Andhra Pradesh has taken up and which has ensured that it's in this large SHG base and large number of rural women are brought into the SHG fold and ensure that they get all the benefits that that are available under the project. What's saturation? How are SHGs formed in a village? And what are SHGs targeted for? To cover the poorest of the poor in the villages. To be brought under this SHG fold and their livelihoods are enhanced. So how do they ensure that? Like in a village, say you have 100 families, of which 75 are poor. And you have 10 SHGs. With 15 members. We have all 75 covered. All 75 covered. Suppose there are additional 25 families who also you later on realized are poor. And they are not included in your SHG. The MS's basic responsibility is to ensure that the village is saturated with SHGs and all the poor people are included in the SHG fold. So for this purpose, they do a periodical activity of survey of the village, talk to the households who are left out, identify the poor, and then either they are included in the existing SHG or they are formed into separate groups. Only when this village is saturated, then they move to the next village. This is what ensures that the social inclusion happens and no poor person is left, no poor household is left out. And this activity is given utmost importance by the project and the MS and the ZS, and they have periodical meetings, they have MIS reports to ensure that everybody is included or not. So this is one strategy. Migration cannot be done, right? You cannot do anything on migration. Then the human resources, what type of people are there in the MS? when we looked at with the staff at the Mandi level, we found there are 4 community volunteers, what they are called CVs, and then an accountant and a builder, sort of people. Now somebody has questioned about the staff and how do they ensure that they talk to the bank and what sort of an activities that they do. These are community volunteers are the local people, local from the village, and they are not any subject matter specialists or anyone, but they ensure that they interact with the SIGs on a regular periodicity continuously. Then from the project, what you call about, you have a assistant project manager and 5 community coordinators. These community coordinators, they look after livelihoods, they look after bank linkages, they are specialists in each activity. Then institution building, and in this case there is one person who is called for land. Now they are the specialists from the project who are positioned in the Mandal Samakya. Now this is the strategy which they have ensured that because of the presence of these people in the Mandal, the activities, the objective of the Mandal Samakya, whatever it is, we have looked at the objectives, we can go back again and look at it. The objectives are achieved through this strategy of placing the project staff at the Mandal level. Though you have a downside of it, we always talk about bottom-down approach, and here you can see a top-down approach. The Mandal Samakya is totally dependent on these APMs and the community coordinators who are the staff of the project. They are not on the roles of Mandal Samakya, because we generally talk about the institutions, the community-based institutions which will have to run on their own, they should be self-sustaining, they should do their work on their own. Now these are the things which again are very theoretical, but this strategy of the project or the SRLF has worked and ensured that the Mandal Samakya discharges its duties and the objectives are achieved as listed down, and they help them in either the bank linkages or in developing, improving their capacities and or training. I mean, like I think we looked at their training. This thing they have trained, some 100 bookkeepers and some few of course community resource persons. It's a continuous activity. Like each of these community coordinator has a definite deliverables of his job, and he has to ensure that it happens, and it happens round the year, and it's been reviewed regularly through the systems and processes they have developed, and this ensures that the MS, the VO and the SHGs are working as per the mandate given by the project and okay, this is one of the things what I am talking about. The top-down approach is what is one of our observations, that this probably have to, over a period, the project has to withdraw and the institution has to stand by itself. But if we have 15 years, we are talking about 15 years old SHGs and MSs and all that. Then they have the review and monitoring systems. They have huge MIS developed centrally and given. And the transparency is one of the things which they ensure. So either the DRDA officials or the project officials or MS, anybody can look at the accounts and the books of the Mandal Samakya or VIVO or SHG. And this is a process which is open. Like we could also gather a lot of data from their books of records to see that. And all these books of records and all that are maintained by the SHG members whom they have trained and positioned them in the MS. I mean, like they are volunteers, but they are the SHG members, the women. I mean, who sit and look at it. And then when we went, I think it's the time when they started using computer. I mean, they have put somebody who would come and train them on the computer working and how to ensure these physical books are transferred to computer. I mean, it's 1 year old, so probably we should go back and see what is the status right now. Then they brought one lady. Then they said, there's one of my research associate with me is a Hindi-speaking girl who was having tough time coming with us to all these places, not knowing anything. So they noticed that, and they brought one CRP and they said, Madam, आप Hindi में बात कीजिए इनसे. So then she asked why they are training them in Hindi speaking because they want to send these CRPs to Bihar, Chhattisgarh and Gujarat and train the CRPs locally. These communities of the So
now Bihar is doing that.
yeah, it's doing it. But still Andhra is still doing it. I mean, this one. So, I mean, I know that you interacted with these CRPs. I think there's one thing which you should probably get some CRPs and they would talk non-stop and tell how they have done the social mobilization, how SHG is formed, how after forming SHG, before forming SHG, what was their position, right now what is their income. I mean, that's one thing which is very novel that is being done in Andhra, and these CRPs are used in other places also I mean, incidentally, just to divert from the monotony of my, because unlike Swami, I'm not asking you questions because I'm presuming I know and so I'm telling you. I know whether these SHG's meeting, I have attended one of the SHG meetings. And then they have a routine process, they undergo like, how many attendance and all that, and then how much loan is given, how much loan is taken. So some lady was sitting next to me, I just asked her, did you take loan? She says, yeah, I've taken loan. I said, okay, which livelihood activity did you use it for? I mean, the typical livelihood is what I know, and that's what I consider that they use the money, they go and do a livelihood activity. So she says, I got gold. I said, why? You were supposed to, use it for livelihood. She says, do you know how much is it when I purchased the gold, and do you know what is the gold rate today? Yes, you know how gold rate went up in last 1 year. So she says, what return on investment, what livelihood activity? I bought gold and today it is so much, so I made so much money. Yeah, I did not have anything to say. There's nothing I could say, yeah, that's true. But in Andhra, that's the condition. Not only probably with her, because it's 15 years old and this interloaning, taking loans, bank linkages, getting credit has been going on for quite some time, and they are all finished with their livelihood activities. I'm sure Swami will not agree, but no, I just made a statement just to see whether he's finishing livelihood activity okay. It is not. Who will be the representative of general body?
All the
Anybody else?
President of
The President, Secretary and Treasurer of
All the members of
SHGs.
EC2. EC1 takes decision on policy issues and EC2 takes decision on operational issues. And these are the decisions they take basing on the requirement. I mean, this is something like, it just doesn't happen just like that. They think about it and they decided, like down the line, I think 2 months before we went there, that this is what we want. We want policy issues to be decided separately and operational issues to be decided separately. Then they had a lot of subcommittees. I won't, right there, you can just look at it. The type of subcommittees they have. Asset monitoring committee, recovery committee, bank linkage committee, Vivo monitoring committee, jobs committee, insurance committee. Now, imagine the way that is structured. It's not like, okay, Vivo is there, the project staff will come, they decide or anything like that. They ensure that every decision is taken through a proper process, through these subcommittees, then put it up again depending upon it's an operational issue or policy issues into one of these committees, and a decision is taken. Now these are the type of structures and systems which were developed over a period, And now that ensures the proper functioning of a MS. They will decide about increasing the salary of a community volunteer by 500 rupees, which goes to the committee and the decision is taken. They're talking about systems. We have financial systems, monitoring, how do they conduct the meetings and operation processes. Now financial systems, the other things you can see, like they are as much defined as any other publisher. When they talk about financial systems in MS, basically their activity, as we can see, is giving credit, hence the recovery. This is the most important thing, and this we have studied using total loan to total outstanding, and various ratios and percentages we have used and studied that, and it worked out just much higher than what we expected. We thought there would be there will be outstanding which is more than a year, which is not coming, or the loans or not defunct, or their NPAs or anything. Nothing of that sort. The recovery percentage is something like 98%, and the installment payment is prompt. And these are all the things which were absolutely streamlined. And we tried to, though we studied one Mandal Samakya, we got the data from 4 other mandals, their financial data, and tried to analyze. And we found, except one or two, among the 5 mandals we selected, I think there was a data on this data which I did not put on the list. They are all, as much as like 80 to 90% recovery, and no bad debts, and prompt payments and all that. Even in the other 2 mandals we have studied, it is as much as 50 to 60. And unlike the microfinance things like 0% recovery. Talking about organizational culture, and there's one thing which we noticed when we attended these meetings, and they are done very promptly on a particular day by the SHG meets once in a week, definitely. If there is no deviation from that from last 15 years. No way do they deviate. There may be absentee members. And they have systems like if a person is absent, he has to pay 100 rupees fine. And they don't deviate from that, come what may. I was quite surprised that they are taking a fee and they are giving us a receipt. Then someone is saying, then what to do? They say AP is very good, and everybody comes to see AP SHGs. So you're disturbing our meetings and all that. So I thought that's quite good. Getting a government job and being a local resource person is a big thing for anyone, a villager, person from a village. So this is another important point when to talk about an LPO having different decisions already in place, procedures in place, and which will help these people who are working with them work very sincerely and with a lot of responsibility. And then the CVs and the SHG members are given a lot of training, and these training programs are also periodic, and they are also designed, they are decided on a yearly basis, and the trainings are given to all these people. Yeah, there is something called shared values in the 7S model. Which Samakya and the Mandal Samakya has Ananta Mahasamakya and the Mandal Samakya and the VO and probably the SHG also. This synergy is what also decides on how the organization functions and how it can be, how it can grow. If there is no synergy between these organizations and these activities, it would be going 2 ways. See, the Mandal Samakya cannot work independently to what the RDA does or what the project staff does, what the project requires it to be done and what is given to us as a mandate. So that's what we try to evaluate it as synergy. Now, this is my last slide. What is it that at the end of the story that we saw, like what did the Mandal Samakya do and what it is achieved? It's I think established in 1998. The Mandal Samakya which we have studied is in 1998. And these are the parameters, what we call as performance indicators when we look at when we say increase in per capita income of members. I mean, we wanted figures. Actually, I had the figures, but I just put something like the figures goes from 5,000 rupees per month per member to 12,000 rupees per month is what they showed as the increase in the member. These are the performance indicators are something which are reviewed regularly by the project. Loans and all that. They're generating enough revenue to meet their expenditure. And they have large pool of, when we talk about social capital, I'm talking about the type of people they have trained and available in the village. They have SHG members who are trained, they have animators, they have bookkeepers, they have community health workers and institution building activity workers and all that, whom they have trained regularly. And in fact, they had a training, in MS they have a center which they call training center, in which regularly the training programs are conducted. I mean, like in fact, when we went, there was some training going on for English speaking skills or development, which they have a project with tied up with some UK company. So they are coming and teaching them English. Then they have skill development training for self-employment, like I think some of the girls in this village are given tailoring course and they're given loans for purchase of their machines and all that. And so their livelihood activity is now. Is there anything else I need to tell? It is not. Everybody is alert now. That's one of the conclusions. This thing what we thought. We in fact finally met the PDDRDA after we undertook the entire study and all. And we always saw that people taking credit, repaying. I mean, they take loan, they repay. Now what is this they used to? There is nothing on record. I mean, it's not there is nothing on record. We didn't see anybody saying that we are using it for the livelihood activity. So this is one question which we posed, and I think which we also put it in a blog site, in our case study. Why we haven't developed? And livelihoods is something everybody here knows. We are there in this business for quite a long time. This area you don't need to be really telling people or helping them in their livelihoods. They are quite good enough. They know everything. Now I think that's where is our observation ended. It needs, you see, for example, there is milch animals in a village and adequate amount of milk is produced and the milk is transported. I mean, we have seen that they take it in cycle and sell it in this thing. So it's not like that need to be an activity. That activity can be upgraded. You can think of a milk chilling center. You can have a milk route of your own. The SIG members have a milk chilling plant. I mean, and this observation I don't think is also very, being very judgmental. With study of one Mandal Samakya in some 1,000 Mandal Samakyas that are there. But this is what is this thing. I mean, we really didn't know why the thrust on livelihood promotion has not been so much as it should have been, because this is a livelihood promotion activities. And when we wrote these objectives, this is what came up. Why is it not there? I mean, one of the activities, the word livelihood has to be there. There is an objective which says increase the income of the members through livelihood promotion is what. But then the area is quite saturated and people are quite okay. So probably I don't know, but that's the reason why it's not being considered, or Probably if we probably study another 100 Mandal Samakyas, we would know like yes, there is a trust on livelihood promotion. I don't know that.